Hi, I'm Maxie from New York. Whenever I walk the streets, guys drool over me, but my life was ruined because of it. Before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I was always a beautiful kid growing up, and my mom would flaunt me whenever she could. Have you seen my daughter? Isn't she absolutely beautiful?
Yes she is. Can you pay for your groceries now?
Yeah, sure. I was used to all the attention, but by the time I was 15, I was so sick of it. Why do I have to be so beautiful? Why couldn't I have been born ugly? Maxie, I don't want to hear you say something like that ever again. Your beauty is a gift. You better make use of it. And I did. I used my beauty to get any guy I wanted. One day, Mom burst into my room. I screamed because I was making out with this cute boy, Alex, in my room. Mom! Maxie, I've entered you into a modeling competition. Mom, get out! I was so embarrassed. Alex looked red. Oh, hi, Alex.
Hi?
Maxie, get ready now.
What? Why?
If you win this competition, it'll make you rich.
But I don't want…
Too bad. If you don't go, I'll ground you for a month.
Ugh, fine.
I said goodbye to Alex, and that night I entered the competition. And what a surprise, I won. Now, I wasn't that bothered about it until I found out the prize money was $200,000. If there's one thing me and my mom have in common, it's that we like money. After that, I entered into competitions abroad. The competition in Paris was tough. They placed us in a room with all the other girls, and we each had a mentor to help us through each round.
Hi, Maxie. I'll be your mentor throughout this competition.
Okay, cool. Can you… I froze. Because the dude in front of me was drop-dead gorgeous. Like, oh my god. And he was gonna be my mentor? I soon forgot all about Alex. What's your name?
Robert.
My heart melted. Robert. Even the name sounded hot. Pretty soon, Robert and I got to know each other really well. Within a week into the competition, I decided I was gonna stop being a wimp and just ask him out. Will you go out with me? Robert looked taken aback, but he smiled.
Of course.
We kissed immediately, and I was practically singing with joy. The first round of the competition was coming up, and I walked on stage. The challenge was to walk down a catwalk with super high heels. This would be a piece of cake for me. I walked down, but suddenly, my feet gave way before me, and I slammed face first onto the floor.
Sorry, Maxie. Better luck next time.
I couldn't move. What just happened? I never got kicked out in the first round. I knew this was an international competition, so it was a little tough, but seriously? No, I'm not leaving. Do it again.
Excusez-moi?
You're excused. Now do it again.
You may be mistaken, Miss Maxie, but how you do things back in home in America and how we do things in Europe are very different. Now get out.
I was dragged off by security guards. The most embarrassing thing about it was that it was all recorded live on TV. The internet was buzzing over me, and it wasn't the good kind of buzz. Back in my dressing room, I inspected my heels. I noticed the straps had been cut off, so that's why I'd fallen. It must have frayed over time. Or, no, someone hadn't sabotaged me, right? When I got home, my mom was furious. How could you throw away this chance? The prize was $500,000. I don't know, Mom. I don't know what happened. It's all because of him. It must be. My mom was pointing at Robert. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention. Robert ended up flying back with us to New York, and he was living here now. He even went to the same high school as me. The problem was, my mom and Robert didn't get along at all. They practically hated each other.
I am sorry, but that was not my fault. It was probably you.
Why I oughta? Guys, please, let's just calm down. It's no one's fault. Let's move on and forget about this. Despite my pleas, they continued to fight, and the night ended with Robert storming off to his apartment and my mom storming off to her bedroom. I sighed. Being beautiful sure did come with a price sometimes. The next day at school, I went to Robert's locker to wait for him there, but he never showed up. I messaged and called him dozens of times, but there was still no answer. I was worried now. I headed over to Robert's apartment to comfort him. But when I got there, the place was empty. That's weird. I called him again, and then I started to hear ringing in the apartment and found his phone by his bedside. Had he really left his phone behind? That was even weirder. He never forgot it. I was starting to panic now. I was ready to call the police when I froze. On the bed, there was a note I hadn't noticed before. I read it and felt my brain start to explode with shock.
Dear Maxie, I've left with all your money. Your mom told the truth. I did sabotage our last modeling competition. I just used you to get your money and this was the only way. Don't look for me. You'll never see me again. Robert.
I was frozen. How? Why? Had Robert really scammed me? But our love felt so real. I checked my bank account and sure enough, it was empty. Yesterday, there had been $2 million in that account. I suddenly felt very faint and sat down. My whole world felt like it was spinning. I told my mom and I expected her to be smug about it, but actually, she was really supportive.
We'll find him and make him return all the money. Don't you worry.
But honestly, I didn't care about the money. I had truly loved Robert. I was more disappointed by the fact that our love was a lie. Months passed and there was still no sign of Robert. Then, one night, I got a strange phone call.
Wanna know the truth about your mom? Meet me at Cornerstone Park at midnight.
The phone cut off. I was speechless. The truth about my mom? What could she be hiding? Later that night, I waited in the park. I checked my watch. It was 12:30. Where was this mystery caller? Then, suddenly, I felt a hand on my shoulder and I yelped.
Babe, it's me.
Robert? At first, I was relieved. But then I remembered how he had scammed me of all my money. You jerk! You have some nerve showing up here.
Maxie, you have to understand, I did not scam you.
I was about to punch him, but I froze mid-air. Huh?
I did not scam you. That note you found, that was not me.
Then, who left it?
Your mom.
Robert explained everything to me. He said my mom was the one who had sabotaged my heels and cut the straps. Then she had told Robert that if he didn't leave and go back to Paris, she'd frame him as the one who sabotaged me and get him thrown in prison. He even showed me security footage of my mother at his apartment, then her writing the note and leaving it there. My mother was the evil one in all of this. But I don't understand. Why would she do this?
I don't know. I had to escape for my own safety and I'm so sorry I had to abandon you, but it had to be done. But now you have to leave. Come with me. It's not safe with that evil woman.
It's okay, Robert. I understand. We hugged and kissed. But I have to get back home.
No, it's too dangerous.
Robert, I'll handle it. Don't worry. Robert hesitated, then nodded. Now I had to figure out why my mom wanted to ruin my life. But when I arrived at home, my whole world crumbled into dust. Police were surrounding my house and the place looked like a crime scene. I discovered that the night I had went to meet Robert at the park, my mother had been murdered. The police said she had been robbed and killed. I was distraught. That's when I realized, because of Robert, my mom was gone. If I hadn't gone out to meet him, I would have been here at the house. I could have helped her. But because of him, she had been here all alone. I would never forgive him. The next day at school, Robert approached me in the hallway.
Maxie, I heard about your mom.
Stay away from me, you creep. Robert looked heartbroken.
But Maxie...
My mother is gone because of you. The other students were staring now. Robert bit his lip, then nodded.
I'll give you space.
He left. I walked to class with the eyes of the whole school on me. This time, instead of the guys staring after me drooling, they were staring at me with pity. I lived at home alone. Since I was already 18 years old, I didn't need to have a guardian, but it was still lonely. I survived off the money my mom had left me in her will, but it wasn't much. I was still beautiful, but I doubted I could ever enter a modeling competition again. It was graduation day and I was getting ready. I wanted to get out of this damned town and move somewhere new for a fresh start. I walked to school, but then I realized I had left my phone behind. I turned around and walked back home, and when I entered, I got the shock of my life. There, sitting in the kitchen as if nothing had happened, was my mom. Mom? Mom looked up, then looked disappointed.
Damn it, aren't you supposed to be at graduation?
Mom, I don't understand.
Ugh, I nearly got away with it.
Got away with what? Mom, you have to tell me what's going on. Mom hesitated. Then she sighed.
Ugh, fine.
That's when she told me the truth. The real truth. And sadly, the truth hurt.
I'm your sister.
My mom wasn't actually my mom. When she was 18 years old, her parents, our parents, had died in a car crash. They left me behind, a baby for her to raise. Because of me, my mom, my sister, hadn't been able to do all the things she had dreamed of doing, like becoming a model. So then she had forced me to become a model and had used me to become a moneymaker. Then, when I met Robert, she saw the chance to get rid of me once and for all. She stole all my money, framed Robert, and then faked her own death. The body the police had found wasn't actually hers. It was someone else's dead body that she had stolen from the morgue. Someone who looked very similar to her. The police were so sure it was her that they hadn't bothered taking fingerprints. I was speechless. So, what now? My sister sighed.
Now?
She raised a knife.
Now you must die. You know too much.
I gasped and started to back away. My sister raced towards me, ready to kill. Then, suddenly, someone leapt out of nowhere and tackled her to the ground. It was Robert. Robert?
Maxi, run!
Robert and my sister fought until eventually Robert managed to tie her up. Robert and I stood there breathless. I suddenly grabbed a hold of him and kissed him. Thank you for saving my life.
Anything for you.
What should we do now? Robert hesitated. We looked at my sister. I sighed, then dialed 911. It was time my sister paid for what she did to me.
Hi, I'm Benita and I'm from India. My parents are super strict and my dad always says that I can't have my first kiss until I'm 50. Before I continue, please like and subscribe. My dad wasn't always a control freak, but I believe it all started while we were exploring Amur Fort in Jaipur during a family vacation. It was a beautiful place and I was having loads of fun until... Where's Anya? We looked around but my sister was nowhere to be found. We have to look everywhere. And if we don't find her, I'll have to call the police. Just as we were about to give up, I spotted the scarf of Anya's sari blowing in the wind around the corner. Dad, look over there! We walked over and found Anya in the arms of some guy. They were in the middle of a really intense makeout. I'll spare you from hearing all of the horrible things my parents told her, but when we got home, she was locked in her room and told she wouldn't be able to go anywhere but school for at least a year. Then my dad came to my room and gave me a lecture.
I don't want you around boys. They're nothing but trouble, and I know that because I was young once. Don't you even dare to do what your sister did until you're 50. Kissing is strictly forbidden, and if you disobey my rule, there will be some serious consequences.
Okay, Daddy.
Also, you're grounded.
But I didn't do anything. I was only 5 years old, so can you imagine my confusion? Anyway, I did well for a while. I totally avoided boys, but in the 6th grade, I started developing feelings for a really cute boy in my class. His name was Pulkit, and he'd always ask me to hang out with him at lunchtime. I always refused, but that particular day, I just couldn't. We had an amazing lunch together. We shared our snacks, a few jokes, and went back to class. When I got home, my dad was waiting with a look of fury. Pavan, please don't yell at her, my mom pleaded. She grabbed my arm and dragged me to the couch.
We know you had lunch with a boy.
I was shocked. How did they know?
And you're probably wondering how we know this. We paid him to ask you to sit with him so we could find out whether or not you were obedient. But you're not. You're a rotten daughter. And you're grounded for a year. You're lucky your mother stepped in, or you would have been grounded for 10 years.
I'm sorry, Daddy. Sorry, Mommy.
Go to your room.
So I spent the early years of secondary school trying to ignore boys and my friends whenever they spoke about boys. I tried to do other things so I wouldn't concentrate on that. I joined a whole bunch of clubs, even the chess club, and somehow I became the treasurer, so I was in charge of all the money. Don't get bored because I started talking about chess, because I'm about to tell you about something super embarrassing that happened to me. We had saved enough money to buy a new chess set, so I went to the store after school to buy it. It was my responsibility since I dealt with the money. I went to the store, picked the most beautiful looking one, and went to the cashier. She scanned the box, told me the price, and when I looked into the bag, the money wasn't there. "Well, you're going to have to put it back. Hurry up, child, I don't have all day." I wanted to burst into tears, but suddenly a hand touched my shoulder. I turned around and saw him.
Here, I can give you the money.
This gorgeous stranger paid for me and asked me if I'd walk outside with him.
My name's Peter, by the way. I'm from Australia. My family moved here last year. I love curry.
Hey, there's more to India than curry.
I know. Maybe you can teach me.
He walked me back to school and asked me if I'd meet him there the next day. Sure, I replied, because I wasn't about to miss an opportunity like that. I just have to be smart about it and make sure my dad didn't find out. Peter and I started meeting every day after school. He'd want to walk hand in hand through the streets, but I couldn't risk it. I kept taking him to secluded locations so that we could have some privacy and nobody would spot us and tell my dad. This worked for 2 months, and that was all the time I needed to fall head over heels in love with him. Our first kiss was like nothing I'd ever experienced in my entire life. It felt like there were little surges of electricity passing through different parts of my body. I think I became addicted to that feeling. So much for waiting until I was 50. I was 15. I was convinced that this was the person I would marry. He was my soulmate, my forever person. But all of that came crashing on my head one Saturday. I was just woken up and I was walking downstairs to get breakfast. I heard a knock at the door and my dad went to answer it. I froze. Peter was standing there with a bouquet of roses, pink and red ones. They were so beautiful.
Good morning. You must be Manita's father. I came to bring you these flowers. Why are you bringing my daughter flowers? Who are you? I'm her boyfriend, Peter. Nice to meet you, future dad-in-law. I came to ask if I could take her to the movies tonight. I mean, we've gone out many times, but I've never really taken her on a real date.
Can you imagine the embarrassment? My dad told him to get lost in the rudest possible way and then punished me after. I didn't get to talk to Peter again until senior high school. I don't know if the universe was messing with me or something, but somehow we ended up in the same class. He smiled shyly at me and I realized I still couldn't resist him, although we were much older now. We hid in a corridor to talk that same day.
Hey, I'm so sorry about what happened. I didn't know you weren't allowed to date.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I just enjoyed being around you so much and I didn't want anything to ruin that. He hugged me and just like that, electricity and fireworks again. He'd become a better kisser. But then I opened my eyes and saw a flash.
I'm gonna make some money today.
It was Pulkit. Remember that stupid kid my parents set me up with in middle school? When I got home, my dad had already seen the picture and he was throwing all my things into trash bags. Dad, what are you doing?
You won't follow my rules, you won't live under my roof.
Dad, stop! At that moment, my mom walked in and tried to reason with him.
Pavan, be reasonable. We can just send her to a different school. That boy seems to be the problem, but if we send her somewhere else, he won't be there. We can't give up on her. She's our daughter. Fine.
My dad stopped and I unpacked all the trash bags. I was sent to a different school the next week. I hated it there and I was filled with anger against my father. I wanted revenge, so I decided that I was going to make out with as many boys as I could. In a month, I probably kissed 10 different guys and none of them knew about each other. It gave me this thrill that I just couldn't describe. My latest guy was the one I'd been trying to get for a while. He was older than me and probably the most popular guy on campus. I finally had him where I wanted him, all alone with me in an empty classroom. I flirted a while and then he kissed me. It was so perfect and romantic that when I heard the door open, I didn't even care who was watching.
Benita?
I reluctantly pulled away from my hottie. Peter? What are you doing here?
I asked my parents to transfer me here so I could be with you, but what are you doing here with him? I thought you loved me.
He looked like he was about to cry, then he ran out of the room. I ran after him, begging him to stop. He refused and he wouldn't talk to me for days. But was this proof that Peter really was the one for me? I mean, look at all he did just to be with me. When I finally got him to talk to me, I explained how angry my father made me and why he found me kissing that guy in the classroom.
I understand.
You do?
Yes. Listen, I have an idea. We both want to be with each other, right?
Of course.
My family has this house a few miles away. We can run away together, just for a while. Then no one can disturb us. I'll let my parents know, but you don't have to tell yours anything. Maybe they'll appreciate you a little more when you reappear after a few weeks.
That sounds like the perfect idea. Just me and you together in a house? Yes, Peter, let's leave today. I didn't even bother to pack a bag or anything. After school that day, I got into Peter's car and we drove far, far away. After about 5 hours, my mom and dad tried to call. I put the phone on airplane mode and threw it on the back seat. Then it got dark and it all felt so perfect, driving through the night with the love of my life. He grabbed my hand and I smiled, but that smile didn't last for a long time. We noticed blue and red flashing lights behind us, and then we heard sirens. Oh no, I think you should pull over. I was afraid my parents had already put out a missing persons report and someone had spotted me and reported it to the police.
Sir, you're driving over the speed limit. You look so young, so I'll let you go without a ticket now. But don't let it happen again.
I felt relieved. We drove for a few more hours, then Peter parked and told me we'd have to walk the rest of the way. We walked up an isolated hill for a few minutes, and then we reached a beautiful house. I was so excited that I'd get to spend time with Peter there. We opened the door, and before I even got a chance to look around, a tall blonde girl jumped into Peter's arms and started kissing him all over. I missed you so much! I came here to surprise you! I walked towards them and pushed her away angrily. Who do you think you are? Peter, how could you do this to me?
She's my ex-girlfriend. I met her some time after your dad kicked me out of your house. We really had a lot of chemistry, but she moved to a different country for a while. I thought all hope was lost, which is why I tried to see if we still had a chance. But the truth is, I'm still in love with her. Emily, I missed you so much.
He grabbed Emily and kissed her while I stood there not knowing what to do. Their kiss was so long and passionate that I felt like throwing up. I had no choice but to find my way back to my parents' house, crying all the way there. You can probably tell how angry my parents were, but I didn't care because I was busy plotting my revenge. Guess who I'm dating now? You'll never believe it. In fact, sometimes I don't. But did you know that Peter has a hot older brother? And he's a way cuter. Peter is so mad when I came over to see him, and that's just the sweetest payback ever.
Someone pushed me and I went tumbling down the stairs. I hit my head on the handrail. I held my head in pain, and that's when I realized that one very important thing was missing. Oh no, this can't be happening! I tried to get up, but the throbbing in my head got worse. Kate, who was supposed to be keeping it a secret, was waving my hearing aid in the air for everyone to see. Give it back, Kate!
Give what back, Molly? This little hearing aid?
I jumped and tried to reach it, but missed. Kate and her friends laughed as a crowd started to gather. I knew I was doomed. I buried my face in my hands and started weeping. Kate leaned in closer. That's when I grabbed her hand and bit hard.
Ouch, you psycho! You bit me!
She dropped the hearing aid and I grabbed it and bolted out of there. Hi, my name is Molly and I live in London. Please subscribe and keep watching the video to find out what's going on here. Even though I was born deaf, my parents were rich and I lived a pretty decent life. I never lacked anything, and my mom worked extra hard to make sure that I was comfortable and protected. That might sound like it was a good thing, but I hated it. One time when I was 7, my parents had guests over for business or something, and everyone kept staring at me and petting me like I was some helpless puppy. At one point, I got so agitated and just screamed at one of the guests, who was petting my head, stepped on her foot, and ran out of there. My dad was furious at me while Mom was furious at the guest. Why would you pet her like a dog just because she is deaf? There she was again, always defending my bad behavior because I was deaf. As I grew older, Mom kept insisting that I get ear surgery to make my hearing better. Against my will, she took me from doctor to doctor, and most of them told her the same thing, that the surgery she wanted was too risky for me, and they could not guarantee that I would regain hearing. I don't need to be fixed, Mom. I'm not a broken toy, so just stop. No one in school except Kate, my friend from kindergarten, knew I was deaf. I always kept my hair down to hide the hearing aids, and since I had perfected my speech over the years, no one suspected a thing. But Kate and I drifted apart over time after she started dating Dario, the rich and popular bad boy of the school, even though she knew I had the biggest crush on him. Kate, how could you? You knew I liked him.
Do you know him? You're just jealous because he chose me over a deaf girl. Did you honestly think you had a chance?
After that, my relationship with Kate completely changed. She became the mean girl while I was left with no friends. And that's how I found myself at the bottom of the stairs with Kate holding my hearing aid for the whole school to see. I was now officially the poor little deaf girl. When I got home that evening, I told Mom everything, and as always, she overreacted. Oh, honey, this would have never happened if you gotten that surgery. Mom, we already talked about this. I don't need fixing, so just drop it. Okay, let's just go get you checked. You hit your head after all, so we need to make sure you're okay. I let her drag me to the hospital. After a few tests and scans, the doctor concluded that I might have a concussion and that they needed to admit me and observe me overnight. This was not part of the plan, Mom. I want to go home. Molly, please, stop being so stubborn. Just do what the doctor says. Whatever, Mom, but tomorrow morning I'm out of here. The smile she gave me should have warned me that she was up to something. The next time I woke up, I realized that I shouldn't have trusted my mom. Thank you for this, doctor. I know she will hate me when she wakes up, but it had to be done. You don't need to thank me yet. Let's just wait and see if the surgery was successful or not. Surgery? I tried to adjust my hearing aids, and to my surprise, they were not there, which meant I could hear clearly without my hearing aids. Mom must have asked the doctor to do the surgery she'd always wanted for me. How could she do this without my consent? This made me so mad, so I decided to teach her a lesson. I sat up slowly, pretending to be confused and not knowing where I was. Mom? When she heard me, she turned, a worried look on her face. Oh, baby, how are you feeling? I looked at her, pointed to my ears, then shook my head. Sweetie, can you hear me? Mom, I need my hearing aids. I can't hear what you're saying. I shouted and used sign language at the same time. The look on her face was priceless, and I almost burst out laughing. She looked at the doctor with desperation as he examined my ears. Everything looks fine. So why can't she hear? Let's just give it a few days until the swelling goes down, then we can test her hearing again. Give me back my money. The doctor looked terrified. That was not our deal. I told you from the start that I could not guarantee that the surgery would work. Also, I risked my career by doing it against Molly's will. Mom must have seen red because she picked her purse and attacked the poor doctor with it. I tried so hard not to laugh. Security guards rushed in and dragged Mom and her killer purse out of the hospital. At home, I continued to pretend I was still deaf. This is why I didn't want to do it, Mom. I'm so sorry. I just wanted you to have a normal life and not have to wear hearing aids. My life was normal. Then why did you hide your hearing aids and ask Kate not to tell anyone about them? She had me there. I didn't want to be seen as the poor little deaf girl at school. You already do that at home. I'm not some helpless kid, Mom. Molly, I'm so sorry. I just wanted you to be happy. Seeing her crying almost made me confess, but I was still so mad at her, so I let her cry. I went back to school ready to face the trouble I had brewed with Kate. As expected, she and her new friends were waiting for me and they blocked my way to class. Kate, get out of my way.
Or what? Can you read my lips, or should I speak slower for you?
I shot her a deadly look and clenched my fists.
Oh, you're so scary. Is that because the surgery didn't work?
Kate's mom was my mom's best friend, so of course she knew about my failed surgery.
Why are you trying so hard to fit in? Just wear your stupid hearing aids and spare us all the trouble of talking slowly.
I had had it, and just when I was about to start throwing punches, Dario and Marcus, his biker friend, showed up. Dario was just as mean as Kate. Sometimes I wondered why I was crushing on him. I knew he was there to join Kate in humiliating me, so I started to back away. But what he did next surprised me. He pushed Kate out of the way and grabbed my hand. Marcus took the bag and carried it for me. Together, they walked me to class, leaving Kate and her minions shocked and confused. What was going on? For the next couple of weeks, Dario and Marcus became my two very hot personal bodyguards. Marcus even offered to pick me up every morning on his bike. The bike was what attracted him to every girl in school, and being seen with him on the bike was a badge of honor. Only the hottest girls had ever been on it, so his offer made me feel so special. Dario started learning sign language, and it felt so good to see him try to impress me. For the first time, I was loving the attention, which motivated me to keep up my deaf act. One day after lunch, Dario seemed so nervous, and I got curious. Is everything okay? Without a word, Dario hopped on the cafeteria table and tried to get the attention of everyone. Excuse me, everyone. Can you all give me your attention? With that, the whole cafeteria went silent. I was confused when Dario took my hand and helped me up on the table. Everyone was now staring, and a few cameras were already recording and taking pictures. I was about to get off the table when Dario grabbed me and kissed me, and then picked me up and spun me like they did in the movies. It was a miracle we didn't fall off the table. I looked at Kate's table and I expected to see smoke coming out of her ears, but to my surprise, she was laughing. Okay, that was strange. How could she just be fine with what her boyfriend just did? My answer came a few days later, and it was not good, guys, so brace yourselves. I was in the bathroom thinking about how amazing the past few weeks had been when Kate and her friends walked in and started talking.
I can't believe you just let her kiss your boyfriend, Kate. Oh, that little show he put on? It was nothing. Dario doesn't even like her like that. What do you mean? Oh, you foolish girls. Do you think a rich bad boy like Dario would take any interest in Molly? This whole thing has been a dare. Marcus dared Dario to make Molly fall in love with him, then break up with her soon in front of the whole school. It's gonna be epic. My heart sank. I was about to open the stall door when Kate continued talking. It doesn't even matter anyway. I don't like Dario like that. He's just good for my reputation. Now Marcus is who I'm crazy for. For reals? Yeah, we've been hooking up behind Dario's back for a while now. The dare was Marcus's idea to keep Dario preoccupied as we sneaked around. Just then I came out and the other girls panicked. Oh, don't worry, girls. She can't hear a word you say. Just don't talk facing her. The girls sized me up, laughed, and walked out of the bathroom, flipping their hair in my face. After a while of crying and self-pity in the bathroom, I composed myself and decided to go confront Dario. As soon as I walked into class, Dario got up to hug me, but I pushed him.
What's wrong, Molly?
Drop the act, Dario. I know everything. No, actually, I heard everything. I turned to Kate and she looked terrified.
What? What are you talking about?
That's right, Kate. I'm not really deaf. The surgery worked and I've been faking it this whole time.
You're bluffing.
Am I really? I went to the school media room and connected my phone to the speaker system. Everyone listened in horror as Kate exposed herself. You see, since I started acting like I was deaf, I realized that people disregarded me and kept revealing their dirty little secrets in my presence, so I got in the habit of recording everything on my phone. Now, I had enough secrets to destroy lives, not just of the kids, but the teachers as well. I walked out of the school knowing that I would never show my face there again, but I had taught everyone a lesson. I arrived home to find Mom on the phone. When she saw me, she turned her back to me and went on with her phone conversation.
Molly doesn't know she's adopted. We've never told her because we didn't want to upset her.
I dropped my bag and leaned against the wall, breathing heavily. Instant tears started to stream down my face. How could they not have told me? When Mom turned and saw me crying, I expected her to comfort me, but she burst out laughing.
You heard everything I said, didn't you? In fact, you've been hearing for weeks now.
Wait, you knew?
Of course I did. You can't fool me, I'm your mother.
But you just said I'm adopted. Mom laughed even harder.
I got you really good, didn't I?
Mom, that's so mean.
Now we are even.
Yeah, we are. By the way, we need to look for a new school. I kind of destroyed the other one. Mom's eyes widened and I knew I was in for an evening of pain.